We can go live. We can activate a live stream. I like to live stream. You know what I don't like? Doing a video every day.
You know, I don't like people who aren't talking about one of the best comics ever.
Best comics ever. Tails gets trolled. What?
What?
Anyways,
the whole point of this video, this whole point of this stream is to beat fucking Demolition D.
Yeah, finally. Speaking of incredibly late delays, Demolition D still yet to release a video about this. When's it going to take?
I'm about to fucking check, actually, because I'm subscribed to him.
I don't even know if I am subscribed to him because he doesn't do videos anymore. I think he did one like a month ago, and it was about 20 seconds long.
And it had nothing to do with Berserk.
How dare he? But anyway.
And Dan Fan, Sonic 2 official plot review. She's not even covering this.
Holy shit. I mean, not that it's not a race, but we won.
It's not a race, but we win again.
Race to get your ass up against the wall to second class to fucking something. I don't know. Anyways, yesterday the news broke that Kentaro Miura died.
Miura, the author of Berserk. I think he was also the artist.
Yeah, he wrote and drew Berserk himself. Like it was nonstop. In fact, well, that's one of the things I wanted to get into in this video was not just like, oh, he died and stuff, and it's sad, which it is sad. But
fuck art. Primarily fuck art.
Yeah, first of all, fuck art. Fuck you. And also a man whispering his last words in the cold space station. Fuck art. There was a lot of concern about the last 10 years of Berserk. For those who aren't familiar with Berserk, it's very dark fantasy.
I don't know.
Dark.
I don't know what to tell you if you're not familiar with the Berserk. Fuck you.
First of all, that's just completely uncalled for.
Completely uncalled for, but also semi.
But also, I suppose it's true. The Berserk was a Japanese comic, also known as a manga, that started, I think, late 80s, early 90s.
Also known as Mango.
There's that too.
The famous SNL sketch
about the gay guy playing a gay guy.
Mango, I love you.
I always thought he was gay. The Berserk started as like grimdark, gritty, like almost stereotypical grimdark in the first couple of volumes. I would actually recommend, if you wanted to check it out, to actually skip to volume 4, because the first 3 volumes are kind of pointless. It's about like edgy badass with giant sword and a metal arm who fights demons, and it's like
I don't remember. I don't even remember volumes 1 through 3 aren't about the origin story of Guts.
They're not. And that's the thing. I forgot that. I forgot that entirely, and I wasn't sure why I forgot it. I thought the beginning of Berserk started when he was a child, and I went back and I looked at volume 1 and it's like, wait, what the fuck is this? Is this actually volume 1, or is it some kind of weird proto fucking like a pitch for the comic or something? And then no, it just kept going, and it was like, where the hell did I start? And it turns out I started like volume 4, which is where the story really starts, which starts all the way when the main character Guts, his name is Guts, and it's not like, apparently not the Japanese word for guts, it's literally just the word guts, which again is one of those things.
This is going back to like what, 1987, 1989?
It's something goofy like that, yeah.
Something like that. It's going way back.
Yeah, where there is a trend in Japanese stuff, songs, music, comics, that kind of thing, where a foreign or English word will just be thrown in. And it's sort of like the novelty of it. It's like, oh, it's funny, because it's a foreign word. That's why it's so cute when you see a VTuber say, fuck you, and that kind of shit.
Fuck you.
So they named So the main character's name is Guts. The word Guts, which is.
I mean, we're also. Do we even have to go all the way backwards to what was it, Anthem, the band Anthem,
The band
which
Anthem.
they did a big album back in is like 1987, which I discovered because
throughout the 80s. But yes, Metal Spoony did that. I'm sorry, I mean Razor Fist. That's what you call him, is Metal Spoony.
Razor Fist, aka Rageaholic.
Really, if anything, Spoony should just be called non-metal Razor Fist.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is actually very similar. It's a very similar topic. Is Spoony did a bunch of great videos for a while, like over 10 years ago, and then it had this giant drop off where like he stopped making videos. He started spiraling and shit. Now that didn't happen with Kentaro. I don't know if it's disrespectful to refer to. It's supposed to be like Kentaro Sama Chan or something.
Sama
Chan. I'm just going to say it American, but Mr. Kentaro or something.
Kentaro
he did this comic from at least the beginning of the 90s all the way through the 90s, working nonstop. In fact, that gets to this post here that was from, I think, 4chan specifically. I'm not sure which one. Is it tagged with? Oh, no, it's not tagged with something. But here's sad image reaction thing. But comments at the end of the book health section. And I assume this is one of the Berserk books. But it's like dated 1993, 1993, 1994, 1995. And I guess just some of his comments about his health. I came down with a high fever of 40 degrees Celsius. I think that's like 300 degrees Fahrenheit or something. Literally boiling. He was actually boiling.
Pretty much.
But 39 degrees Celsius is like a pleasant summer day. So I guess that's all right.
There's no way to tell because dumbass,
it's not a real measurement.
The stupid ass Celsius measurement.
I am perfectly fine with metric, but I don't count Celsius as metric. I don't believe in Celsius. It doesn't exist. Anyways, came down with a fever of 40 degrees Celsius. Thinking about it, I've only had 2 days off this year. 1993, number 12. Next one. I've lost 5 kilos without doing anything. I wonder why. 1993, number 21. That's already a sign of bad health.
Well, also keep in mind, this is like 18. What would this be? 18 years ago or 20?
No. 18 years ago was 2002. This is 30 years ago.
Oof.
Yeah. Oofer gang. Yikes, Reno. But yeah, that's kind of bizarre that 30 years ago his health was already this bad. And when he died, he wasn't even 60. He was in his 50s. I think 57 or 8. I'm not sure entirely. But here, in the past 2 months, my average sleep time has been less than 4 hours. Now I'll be Mr. Satonaka soon. I don't know if that's
my fucking math skills. These math skills.
Yeah. Average sleep time less than 4 hours. Not good. It's not very good. 1993.
Typical of Japanese.
Yeah, that's another aspect. Is that that's kind of a very Japanese thing. Is your life is your work, and you just do it until you drop or something. And it's like,
I hope
you shouldn't do that. Exactly.
I hope I get to live to be 50.
Yeah, that might be pretty cool. I guess that would be pretty cool. Oh, shit, fucking.
Because I don't feel very good.
I don't feel in charge.
Do you? That's the ultimate question of all questions of being in charge.
But also, I don't feel tardy.
That's probably more important than being
much more important.
Feeling in charge is, do you feel tardy?
And it's fucking. I know a lot of people, especially fans of comics, especially American comics, are tardy in all sorts of ways.
Tardy is a great word to describe them.
It's almost very 80s style. It's very classic, very vintage nostalgia.
Very teacher, very school based.
If I was going to criticize nostalgia, I would say that one is that tardy is a pretty good word for nostalgia. Very good.
It's a card that I won't purchase.
Anyways, since I moved, my average sleep time's been less than 4 hours. I'm going to go Gamu. I don't know what that means. I've had
it's like being Gamma. Is being a Gamma beta nerd.
It's the exact opposite of being a Sigma, which is what we are. Of course, we're total Sigmas.
We're beyond Sigma. What's a step above Sigma? I don't know, but that's what we are.
Nothing, actually.
Nothingness. The
answer to that is nothing.
The answer to that is alpha.
Actually, no. Alphas, Sigma. Apparently, Sigmas are more rare. That means better than alphas.
So that means that alpha is better than Sigma.
Oh, well, shit. Shit. Anyway, I had a day off for the first time in a month and a half, and I went out. I got heat stroke, 1995.
Oh no!
I went to Okinawa from my birthday.
1995. That would be about the same time that Asuka and Shinji were going out to that it was like an aqua resort where they kept all the livestock, the oceanic livestock, the whales,
squids,
squids and whales and dolphins and stuff,
and pumpkins and popsums.
Pumpkins and possums, witches and warlocks.
You're full of shit. My first big holiday as a manga artist was to Okinawa 2002. Well, wait, I skipped one. Went to Okinawa for my first big holiday and spent 2.5 days out of 4 suffering from heat stroke. Again, 1998. So that's like 2 years later after he went out in 95 and got heat stroke. Doesn't sound like heat stroke necessarily, or something. I don't know.
Well, although you could maybe say that he was genetically inferior.
I don't know. It sounds like he's not hydrating properly. But
I mean, though, the thing is, maybe he's genetically inferior, but this is a good example of why we should protect people who have genetic defects.
Yeah, protect if they should be. His smile should have been protected. Well, here's the thing: genetically inferior as far as dealing with the elements, but
I mean,
as far as work ethic, genetically superior, perhaps the Ubermensch, you could say.
Yeah, people say genetically inferior. They're wrong.
They're just jerks. They're just big jerks. Sort of like that Albert Fish guy.
They're wrong.
The gray man. They called him because he was gray in appearance and demeanor. Anyways, my days off are half days every 2 months. I haven't had 2 days off in a row for 4 years. I'm getting tired of it. 2004, I collapsed again from overwork. I missed Gwen's 100 Great Books. Ugh. 2005. It's the first time in my life I've come down with a cold twice in 1 month. 2007. So yeah, this shows the picture of a man overworking himself, like to death years before he actually died. Like that was still 15 years before he died. And then there's still more commentary.
Which to me, that just means that he was overworking himself. If you want to look at something overall, the overarching belief, the big picture, it's that this is somebody who had overworked himself. He started to scale it back over time, but not enough.
That's the funny thing is that people were like accusing him of being lazy on the comic because he was playing Idolmaster or some shit. That was the joke, is that, oh, he's got addicted to Idolmaster. And it's like what you probably realize is for the past 10 years, he's probably just been fucking, he hasn't been able to, where he's been like maybe in a process of dying gradually or something. The saddest one is at the bottom of this other post. And also we are going to get to our actual thoughts about the comic in Berserk, because it's one of my favorite it actually is my favorite manga in very justified way, in ways that I want to justify, but still, I want to get to the rest of this. I'll be 27 in July. 27 years full of cartoons. Is this what you want? 1993. It's the same every year, but I'm working on Christmas and New Year's Day. I want to eat osechi once in a while. 94. I had the day off for the first time in a month and a half, and when I go out, I got heat stroke. 95. Some of these are repeats, I guess. After a movie, I always go to the Loiho next to Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building for a review meeting with friends and stay there until the first train leaves. 1996. I bought some clothes and shoes for the New Year's party. I only have 2 pairs of sneakers. 1996. Possibly sneakers that don't get used very much. I'll be 30 in July, and looking back, I've been drawing comics like Kentaro Candy. Again, a reference I don't really get, but you can kind of understand from the context and from the context of all the rest of this. He's been busting his ass so much. 1996. In a month and a half, I'll be able to go out for 2 hours to have dinner at Jonathan's, a petite recluse. 2001. If I don't see people for a long time, my mouth doesn't work properly. 2002. You see, there seems to be something more to this than just he's Japanese salary man working himself to death. There seems to be something more to this, than just the culture. This guy seems to have, I think the culture could be a part of it, but I also didn't know the guy personally, so I can't even say. My 30s are almost over. My life is a mess with nothing but manga, but I can't take it back now, so I'm going to keep going. Going to stay indoors again this year, 2006. After all, I'm not going to stay indoors because I'm lonely, 2006. I've been too busy to go out for a week, and chocolate has become a precious food to me. Thank you very much, 2006. I drew soldiers all the time during my absence, 2007. 2/3 of my body is made up of calorie mates. So does that mean that 2/3 of Berserk is provided by Otsuka Pharmaceutical, 2009? And then the saddest one is I couldn't see cherry blossoms with the naked eye even once this year, 2011. And again, that's 10 years ago. And the person posting this just in reply says, that wasn't life. And it's really sad because I don't know if you can really say, well, that's Japanese culture, because I think to some extent it's not supposed to be Japanese culture where you're completely disconnected from the outside world because you're working all the time. I think even salarymen, they at least go out to the bar, but I don't know. I don't know if there was something about this guy. I think in a way you read Berserk and there's sort of a lot of themes of abuse, and you wonder if maybe that's why he was closed off so much, is because he had a history of abuse somewhere,
or maybe he just understood, because we're going back to like when did it start? 1989.
I don't know if it was then, but
we're going way back.
Those posts and stuff were like early 90s all the way to like 2011. And again, he was still doing work on the comic, before then and after then. So yeah, it makes you wonder, like, what was it exactly the cause of not? It's clearly something beyond being a workaholic, and it resulted in a really good story. One of the best books, I would say, period. But at the same time, it also resulted in the fact that it was never finished, and it will never be finished. A lot of people I've been seeing on Twitter are saying like, oh, he knows people who know the story inside and out, and they can finish it for him. It's like, that would be nice, but it's not going to quite be the same. And
I don't trust them.
The thing is, not only he had health problems before this, but on top of that, I kind of got the impression that his passion for making or finishing the book, because there's a lot of aspects to it. One is that continuing the story in manga, if it just ends, then it's over. And you see a lot of people who, like the Dragon Ball guy and Naruto, will have
terrible shit.
And yeah, but at some point they go back to it. They go and make another like a side story, or it's like, well, I'll make a sequel now because they don't have anything else to do. With Muri, he kind of you could see he was trying to do other stuff, and it almost felt like he was trapped by Berserk because it was obvious where it was going to go. The story, in short, is
well, I mean, the ultimate conclusion. It was obvious where the conclusion.
Where it would have to conclude with Guts versus Griffith, which is, I mean, it's not really much of a spoiler to say that. Well, it is a spoiler, but here's the thing. Even if I knew ahead of time, like the whole Eclipse arc, I would still enjoy the manga a lot because it's about sort of the experience of it and seeing the individual moments and sort of the day-to-day life and then the big events and twists that happen.
It's unique in every single aspect. It's unique from manga, from anime, from Japan, from Western media even. You don't see that anywhere else.
Yeah, it's unique even among manga, and I think that's another reason why a lot of other people. Here, Autist Whisperer says, "I've seen people accuse Miura of dragging Berserk out as much as possible to retain both income and clout." Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think that's exactly. I don't know. I understand that, but I don't think that's actually what he was going for. I think there's something in manga where you have to continue as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's expected, especially with like One Piece and fucking DBZ and shit like that. But where would you even? For me, it's like when they get on the boat, it's like that's when he started to drag shit to a halt. And he should have probably hired some artists.
Yeah, the meme became, are they still on a boat? Here's what I really think he should have done is just stop drawing entirely, but I don't think he could do that. I think he wouldn't even know what to do if he did that. But what he should have done is just write everything out and say, here, my comics, one of the biggest comics on the entire planet. One of the most read, one of the most purchased.
Kind of how I feel about Star Wars is like fucking George Lucas, like, yeah, I'm gonna write all of it and I'm gonna direct all of it. And it's like you've already got people doing better work with your fucking novels and KOTOR and shit like that. Well, I mean, I think,
yeah, to be honest, Knights of the Old Republic is like a better Star Wars story than everything Star Wars since fucking Empire Strikes Back. Really,
it's a great example of how he should have gotten people, writers specifically. It's a great example of how writers are undervalued in all mediums.
But I think Kentaro Miura,
he
should have gotten someone else to draw it, and he should sit back and say, here's what the story is going to be issue to issue. Even if I die, you have a script by script by script for everything that I want to happen.
It's probably a better example, the best example of how he was a writer first and an artist second.
Yeah, that's actually what I loved about the thing. The art's great in all of Berserk, but it's the story is the reason why.
That's a primary thing.
If it wasn't for if it was good art but without the good story, I wouldn't even read it. Like I tried reading a bunch of other mangas. Like I tried reading Bleach. I read I read all of Gantz actually, which had excellent art
whatever the fuck it is, where they're fucking fighting the demons and they're all wearing the skin tight leather suits.
You mean Gantz?
Gantz, whatever. Fuck.
I literally just said that, but
whatever.
But yeah, that one at least had interesting story aspects because
that's the key thing. You can even see when you read Gantz and you look at Gantz, you can see like the CG digital shit going way back before even issue 100. He's clearly just fucking copy pasting CG bullshit for the backgrounds, and it's like, fine, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, just get make sure the story is as good as possible. And the story to that did start to drag. I have a feeling Gantz was heavily inspired by Berserk too, of course, because it's almost hard to avoid the whole eclipse event that happens in Berserk, which is technically early on at this point, but it's the driving focus of the entire rest of the story.
I mean, it's also a game changer for all storytelling. It's like, holy shit, you can do that? You can kill off like 99% of the cast? I didn't think you could do that.
Like your fun, and like you could say even Game of Thrones, came after that too.
Yep.
And the thing is, I don't blame anyone. I would never call anyone ripping off Berserk for doing that, because doing it at all, first of all, to do it right, it takes a lot of work to establish these characters that you want to like and that kind of thing, and then have them horrifically killed. Like, they're not just killed, but they're fucking like torn apart like fresh bread.
They're fleshed out.
Like,
First off, before that, they're fleshed out as real characters.
Yeah.
And then you kill them off. Holy shit.
Yeah. That's one of the, that was one of the strengths of Berserk, of course.
I know there's a lot of people listening who don't still get that. Probably young people who want to create their own stories. They still don't get the power of that.
Yeah, they would say, "Oh, Berserk was good because it has violence and fucking action and stuff."
It has violence and nudity, and look at the action. Nope.
Yeah, because I've seen other animes with a lot of violence and shit, like Elfen Lied and shit, which sucks. It's not good. It's fucking never going to be good.
If we want to bring up something else that fucking what's his face doesn't like, Demolition D.
Oh yeah.
Which I've never even seen the show. I've never seen Elfen Lied.
I watched a couple episodes and it was really boring and stupid. It was like the low, that typical low IQ weeb shit where
that's typical. For me in particular is a lot of fucking anime. It's like, what anime can I even say that I think does storytelling right? Evangelion.
Which even that has aspects of it that are very hit and miss at times.
Yeah, Evangelion, whatever the fuck.
Jelly one. The jelly one is fine.
The jellyfish.
But the thing about
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, the thing about Berserk is a lot of people see all the violence and get it mistaken for that's why it's good or that's why it's supposed to be good. So they think, well, I'll just make my comic really edgy and violent, and therefore it'll be good like Berserk. And they don't really get
blood. Add a bunch of blood and titties, and that's all you need.
Fucking bloody titties and fucking don't forget to have Farnese get Farnese get raped by a horse. Or almost raped by a horse.
Well, I mean,
he didn't actually get raped by a horse.
That is definitely a good idea.
It is for sure good. But yeah, that's the thing, is that you would go through Berserk and you would see a good story, but you would also know that you would have no fucking clue what could happen next. Here's another post from yesterday. Died May 6th, announced May 20th. Even his death was released late. Lol. Miura's parting gift, an indefinite hiatus, which, to be honest, a lot of people were expecting. Like, I was legitimately expecting that he would die without the comic ever being finished. I'm not saying
I actually didn't.
I called it. I'm not saying that.
I didn't actually expect that. I just figured, is like we'd be, at the very least, we'd probably get closer to the ending, or he would rush in. Here's the thing.
Yeah, I suspect he would do that, or he would rush the ending and it would be disappointing.
My personal opinion is that he would rush the ending,
which again leads to that whole point of I think, like, his passion for making the comic was really had faded already at this point.
Well, it's not. In my opinion, now it's not that his passion faded; it was that his health faded.
Yeah,
he wasn't able to keep up with it because it took a lot of drawing,
and those things can be connected, of course. Here's another thing. Shen Yungo mentions that happened with the Wheel of Time series, where the author gave another author he trusted the details of the rest of his story. So when the original author died, the new author finished the series. Now, sometimes that means the new author is not going to do it as well, but at least it can finish. And you kind of, that should be your priority if your life is dedicated to making stories. I think
there's a couple other genius writers who I can think of who can no longer finish because stupid asshole artists aren't going to finish their work. And one is fucking
asshole.
Who is it? The fucking guy who wrote the screenplay for like fucking Dirty Harry and
John Milius. Yeah,
John Milius. That is a big example. And the other would be there's another who fucking was writing a fucking long term. It's somebody who I'm not as familiar with, but it's like the Discworld series. I don't know who he is.
Wasn't there fucking? Don't you mean the whole Wheel of Time thing? That's what
is that? What the Wheel of Time is? It's like the Discworld series where it's like a turtle with 4 elephants on his back with a fucking flat Earth. The flat Earth. The truth of the flat Earth is that the flat Earth is actually held up by 4 elephants, and the 4 elephants are held up by a giant turtle.
By a turtle.
That's what.
But you know what's underneath the turtle? Another turtle.
Fucking is another turtle, and then outer space, and that's what the fucking real world.
That's where it's turtles all the way down. That's where it comes from, you know.
But that's the fucking whole thing. Is he ended up getting? He's still alive, and he's got Alzheimer's, and his daughter is supposed to be finishing the series. And it's like, I don't want to hear his daughter finish the series. I don't give a fuck.
A fucking skirt. Oh, hey, you fucking twist.
I don't want to hear some fucking twist finish the series.
What's the
he's clearly got the brilliant ideas. I want to hear from that guy who's doing the Discworld. Whoever's doing the Discworld series. Terry Pratchett. Terry Pratchett, that's a guy.
Yeah.
That's a guy.
Yeah, that's the whole point. I haven't read Vagabond, by the way, so no.
But Terry Pratchett got fucking Alzheimer's. I think he's still alive, but it's like he can't do the series anymore because he's got fucking Alzheimer's.
I mean, that's the thing is you want to. That's one of the things that I liked about manga is that so many of them would have a complete and enclosed story that would end. It would have a giant story that would end conclusively, even if I don't like it. Like I don't like Berserk or I don't like Naruto. I like Berserk. I don't like Naruto, but it ended at least, and you can go to the end of it and say, "There, it ends here. And now it is done. I don't have to read Boruto or Horuto or whatever the fuck else.
Or fucking Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, Enter the Spider-Verse Rudo, whatever the fuck.
Or what was it? Oh,
you know what? An Autist Whisperer says his daughter wrote the new Tomb Raider games. I have to admit, kind of like those games. I like the game of those games, and then the story is goofy in those games, but it's also like, whatever.
Terry Pratchett is dead, died in 2018. Okay, well...
Or 2015, he says.
Well, fuck.
But I assume he had Alzheimer's. Again, we don't keep up with a lot of
that was the thing is, I'm pretty sure, because I remember that from the SF Debris review.
Alzheimer's, like a Nazi.
Anyway. SF Debris was reviewing like the whole book series and all the movies that were made from that.
The Hogfather and shit.
Yeah, that in particular was the Hogfather. Go and watch his reviews.
Go look up SF Debris.
Go look up SF Debris. SF Debris has done really good videos. I recommend SF Debris. Fucking NGE. No, fucking. I'm trying to remember. What was it?
He reviewed the Eva series. Yeah, those reviews are good. His reviews of Star Trek Voyager are good.
He reviewed the movies because he has not seen the TV show. And me personally, and there's nothing to say about I forget who it is. Murata. Or fucking
Kentaro.
I forget the fucking guy who did the Evas.
You mean fuck. Well, yeah, I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember his name, but he's still alive. And they're still trying to do movies.
He did Shin Godzilla too, so he's like doing all this.
Yeah, Shin Godzilla, and he did the fucking TV show. I mean, that was the whole core of it.
The Decano That's right. I knew that I knew his, at least his
Hide,
other name.
it's
You know.
Hideaki
Whatever.
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 Hideous.
I'm not going to learn to say these bing bong fucking names. I don't give a shit.
The point is, though, that he did Eva, and I recommend Eva.
Yeah, again, it's kind of a little more questionable, at least, because it's a slow start and it fucking
it's so unique. I recommend it just for that.
The aspect of the character interactions, but it's in a way that's about abuse too,
and it also has
it's about a single average boy who gets the weight of the entire world put on him, and everyone's like basically putting a gun to the world's head.
Which is the basis of the show.
Now do what we say, and let's
like,
oh, you won't do it, then fucking we'll trot out this bandaged up girl, and we'll say, okay, she's gonna do it because you won't. They're shaming him into being a man.
That's where best girl comes from. That's apparently the thing is like he didn't care too much for best girl, but best girl, you want to fucking go back to the source of best
you
girl.
Want the best girl? We got worst girl here. We got drunk old hooker.
Drunk old hooker girl. Why wouldn't you go for
cup? Here's the nitwits cup. You want the best value? Here's the best one.
Which one do I go for?
I don't know. I can't do it.
Wait a second.
This one's got a big arrow.
Wait a second.
Best.
Wait a second. Best girl has a big arrow above her head, and it says best girl.
That's Brian Regan's classic bit about Evangeligon.
The Evangelifish.
One of the other tragic things, Berserk ended with a reference to the Star Wars prequels. That's for sure. But I never understood why he like the little floating fairy goofy thing. I always thought was
that honestly, yeah. That was something that he started doing in the boat arc. What would you even call it? The boat arc? It's the boat arc, and it was the worst part.
Yeah, where they're still on the boat. There's still some cool stuff on the boat, but like he fights this giant whale thing, that demon whale that's like bigger than the whole fucking
there's some shit. There's some shit in there. In particular, is like
it was about that it dragged
ghost
and that
pirate.
Years were passing in real life.
What was it? No, the part with like the ghost tentacle pirate king guy. That shit was all agonizing. I didn't like any single bit of that, except for the fact that Guts fucking cuts him in half or some shit.
Yeah, which again, that's the whole part of manga is
that's the only part that I like.
Designed to just be slower and slower, so that the story continues. But it's like, okay, we know he's got to face off against Griffithu. But
I don't blame him for any of that stuff. But some of that, the fucking boat stuff, was some of the weakest material long term.
Yeah, it's part of the whole depressing thing, and also was it the last panel in the entire comic is just naked Shota dick or something. It's like, oh boy.
But also
I haven't been reading for years. I fucking tuned out of Berserk because I was hoping a lot of it would either pick back up or there would be enough of it for me to read all at once.
I was waiting. Yeah, I was waiting for a bulk to read so that I could get back into Berserk, and he's just dead now.
Yeah.
Fucking Order 66. I mean, Order 66 is not his thing. It's not his thing to be his success. It's just a reference to some shit. And then also Jar Jar. And it's like, ew. Ugh.
Okay, I guess. And then
he's older than us.
Last thing in here. Apparently the Chans are just fucking going full troll, which is,
who knows how many
that's reliable.
Who knows how many replies this post actually got?
Yeah, well, certainly by now, or was reported into oblivion. But
it's gone. Yeah, I'm sure it's gone now.
The Attack on Titan guy saying, "Don't worry, Anon, I'll finish Berserk." Oh boy! So another popular, successful creator will finish.
You know what? Oh, it looks like it's his wife. His wife is going to finish Berserk. I guess
people have been saying
his wife is the one who's going to come in
and complete out he had a wife, waifu-chan. Maybe I think he was an incel.
I think that looks like his wife.
Yeah, look out. We called him an incel now. Anyways, yeah, Berserk was one of the first. I think it was actually the only manga that was recommended to me that I was like, eh.
Oh, look at this. This isn't terrible.
Yeah, and then I was massively impressed, and I was like, oh shit, an actual good mango. Because usually, I remember there was like mid 2000s, I think somebody was like, oh, you should check out Berserk. It's really good. And like, yeah, I've heard that before.
I don't even remember
anime that's complete dog shit.
We're going way, way fucking back. We're going back to like, I don't know, 2002. I don't remember why somebody recommended Berserk to me or what the reason was, what the source was.
I was talking to them on AIM. Well, remember
AOL Instant Messenger,
which was it was good for just IMing. It was actually decent. But anyways, yeah,
instant. It was way better. That's actually the thing is like fucking DMs on fucking Twitter and shit like that. It goes all the way back to AIM. That's where the source is.
Yeah, that's basically what DMs are. Anyways, it was some guy I talked to sometimes. Like I didn't fucking.
I don't even remember who.
Yeah, I think I remember who, but I think he linked it to me. He was like, "Here, you can read it right here," and I was like, "Okay."
Check out this shit. Look at this girl gets raped by a horse. And it's like, whoa.
Well, I think he linked me maybe to the first or to the fourth volume where it actually starts. Like the whole thing with Berserk is the real beginning at like volume 1 is its guts. He's already got the metal arm. He's already got the giant sword.
Isn't that where the fucking volume 1 begins? Or it's like
volume 1 starts where he goes into like some shitty village and he gets a hooker and the hooker turns out to be like a spider woman monster. But he's like, foo. I knew you were a spider woman monster.
That sounds very much like fucking
Wicked City. There's a bunch of anime that did that at the time.
A bunch of anime. I was gonna say whatever it was, fucking Urotsuki.
Urotsuki Doji, Legend, or fucking Demon City Shinjuku, or whatever.
Legend of the Overfeet. Yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of others.
Devil Hunter Yoko, which actually that doesn't really
the worst turn down in all of history, where it's like, oh no, she's about to get fucking.
She's about to get fucking hammered, and then her grandma fucking rides in on a moped. It's like, you didn't want to see that. You didn't want to see the cute main character girl get her fucking.
What do they call? Split. What do they call the moped in GTA 3 and
the Faggio?
That's what they should always call it from now on until the end of time.
Like you're riding a hairdryer. Anyway. But anyways, yeah, that's how Berserk starts in the first volume, and it's kind of it plays out as generic in that sense. Is that like it's like so much other stuff you've seen that's grim, dark action. There's demons.
But I mean, that's still like 19. That kind of shit. That's like still what 1989. You probably didn't see that stuff regularly in 1989.
Yeah, maybe not, but it was kind of typical for anime. And then at volume 4, it's like, let's go back and revisit the beginning of this tragic young man's story. And so it goes literally to the point where he's born, which is like falling out of his mother's cunt as she's hung from a tree along with like the rest of her village where they're all lynched on this one big ass tree.
A very classic Western style fantasy.
It sort of owns a more Western thing, and it becomes so much more grimdark where it's like baby crying in the blood under the tree. And it's like, wow, holy shit, this is fucking we're going somewhere now. We're fucking seeing some bizarre shit. And sold into slavery, like, and as a boy, as like a fucking 6 or 7 year old, he's or maybe 10 or something, but he's raped by his slave owner. Then Guts kills his fucking owner to get revenge, and then it's sort of kind of where he goes into being a mercenary.
I wouldn't even call it Spartacus because I don't remember that from the story of Spartacus.
There's not exactly much of that in Spartacus, but yeah, that's where the real beginning of the story is. It's this really grim, violent and bleak. It's not just that it's violent, but it's really bleak. But it's engrossing, and it has decent art. But it's funny to see how the art has improved over the years since those volumes. Like by volume 10, the art is increased by so many levels, and it's so detailed. But
I mean, it still gets better and better.
Sucking you in, but it's the story that keeps you there.
It gets better and better even then. But at a certain point, again, because this is like 30 plus years, you can kind of see where there's a cap, an end point to the quality, to the improvement of the art. And at that point,
the quality is around like volume 10, perhaps.
At that point, I would be telling him, hire an artist.
Yeah, hire an artist, hire assistants, which is supposedly what he did a few years ago. And I see a lot of people mentioning that he hired assistants to help him finish it or to continue it or whatever. But what he should have done was, and for all we know, he wasn't drawing the comic because he was writing it. There's a lot of things we don't know yet about how Berserk may finish it. Berserk may just end here, or other people may take it up and actually finish it. And, so it's hard to say, but all I know is that, it's tragic that he died. And that's why it's kind of important to take care of yourself. Clearly there was there's always a mental element to when your health is bad because you're working so hard, or you're fucking just cut off from everything.
The famous Fiona Apple quote, "Take care of yourself."
Yeah, she's
or whatever. It was like
whatever.
Handle yourself or whatever the fuck.
Go with yourself.
Go with yourself.
That's what she said. Which is still maybe though that was the problem. He went with himself too much. But there's a few other things I'll say about the story of Berserk. Is that it was the first manga that was recommended to me that I read that I was like, oh shit, this is actually good, instead of
this is actually interesting. Whoa.
Instead of like all these other ones that people have been saying like, oh, check this out. And I check it out. And it's like One Piece. I remember I watched an episode of it 200 and it was like, this isn't any good.
I'm trying to think. What was that first fucking one?
It's got a style. And if you dedicate to it, then I can understand getting engrossed to a big
fucking Tenchi Muyo. Tenchi Muyo was the first one.
Tenchi Muyo was another one that
you need to really fucking watch all of Tenchi Muyo. And it's like, I watched one episode of that. I am not watching anymore.
I remember renting a tape that had like 2 episodes on it. It's like fucking 2 episodes. That's barely an hour. I watched it and it was like, I think you summed it up as just the anime version of Three's Company.
Yeah.
It was exactly like watching Three's Company, but a cartoon. And then there was like more of a hint of titties or something. And I was like, okay, but nice to see cartoon titties, but
less of the fucking.
It's boring and it's not funny and it's
less wonderful reaction video or reaction gifs from that.
There's a fucking.
He's just standing around. He's just walking around, and then all of a sudden, what?
You mean from Three's Company? Yes. Three's Company was actually good in comparison to Tenchi Muyo.
Compared to Tenchi Muyo, there are way more reaction flivs or reaction gifs.
Mm-hmm. On top of that, though, was there's just been a long history, like the Akira movie. Completely massively overrated and ultimately devoid of story, whereas
I enjoyed the Akira movie, but they tried to treat it like
it's just being flashy style and visuals.
They tried to treat it like it's like the most important movie you'll ever see in your life. Nope.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was yourself. It was a flick at best. The manga. What really shocked me though was people were like, "Oh, the
manga is way better." I don't give a fuck. The movie was fucking shit. I don't give a shit if the fucking manga is way better. How can you be way better than shit? I don't care. And then, like 2 years ago, I finally read the manga.
Yeah, it was about 10 or 8 years ago for me. And I was shocked not only at how good it was, but it was like, there's parts of like character dynamics and shit that are just completely gone from the movie that are some of my favorite moments from the fucking Akira thing. Like they did the whole fact that the main character is kind of a stupid asshole.
And they admit that in the manga. They're able to fucking acknowledge that in the manga and own it, and it's still good.
It's a good.
How do you do that?
Like source of kind of interesting humor that was completely unexpected. Whereas the movie
in the manga,
the movie sort of action flick.
The movie they don't even acknowledge that, and it makes the movie lesser because of that.
His character just becomes action man, like action hero guy towards the end, but then everyone dies.
It's a reduction of the original story.
Yeah, the movie is completely reductionist in every way that the manga was good, though. There's even some small elements of the very beginning where, they're on their bikes, and which they're stolen. That's the thing. They're not their bikes. Somebody else's bikes that they're stealing, and they come across one of the fucking Smurf kids, the psychic Smurf kids, and their first instinct is like, let's beat the shit out of this thing because it's here. I almost crashed my bike. What the fuck is wrong with me? Why you blue, you fucking loser? You blue loser. And it's like, they're such stupid assholes. Meanwhile, in the movie, it's like, what is this weird person? And then they fly off. And that's it. Again, completely reductionist. It's so disappointing.
It's actually deeper by making them more shallow in the manga, which that's something that's not easy.
They're shallow people because they're stupid. But yeah, there's not even really any of that.
I know we're explaining this. We're explaining that, and people who are listening don't understand that.
We're looking at this from a writing aspect, not from a look at the pretty pictures aspect, which is what anime fans all are. They're not
the pretty pictures aspect, aka the reduced, stupid, low IQ.
Perhaps you could even call them the Untermensch anime fans. I think a lot of them fit that description very well. Of Untermensch.
Pretty much.
They're bad people. But anyways, yeah. So, but before that was Berserk. And Berserk was like the first recommendation where I actually liked it. And the story, it was the art that was good.
It's clear. When you fucking try to read it for the first time, it draws you in automatically.
The visuals actually are very evocative and atmospheric.
It's clear he was a good artist too. That's one thing I want to make sure people understand.
That's a different skill. That's actually two different skills, almost unrelated skills.
He's also a good artist. It's something that is very uncommon in all creation.
Yeah, when you see that, when you see the tree of all the villagers hanging and fucking Guts is at the bottom, like crying and stuff, and you see the guys on horseback who ride past and are like, "What's going on with this?" And one of them picks up the baby.
Well, it draws
the atmosphere of it looks so bleak and intense, but also kind of fascinating,
perfectly delivered.
It's such a livable, like kind of living, breathing world from how it looks. And that's good art combined with the good ability to, create the atmosphere of it.
A lot of people still don't understand. I know we're explaining it and people still don't understand it.
But on top of that was where the story went from there and willing to be, more bleak. But the thing is that I'm never like, oh, it's edgy, therefore it's good, or it's bleak, therefore it's good. I just think
bleak.
If it's bleak, interesting, it draws you in.
Bleak, but with potential. That's actually, to me, the writing, one of the major strengths of the writing was that even when it was bleak, you could see where it could go, the potential of where it could build to.
And there would still be moments of humor that weren't too forced, and like that was one of the things I didn't like about the little fairy character that came later. That would be like too very goofy, silly.
A lot of boat stuff. The boat arc was too much forced humor.
Or a weird fourth wall breaking humor. It's like I didn't think I would be seeing that in Berserk. But again, you go through the first 20 volumes and it's just solid, like unrepentant, relentless, good storytelling and a lot of action. If you read it just for the action, there's tons.
That's actually one of the things is the fairy character is named Puck. That's like classic Western character. I think it was Gargoyles also had like
I don't have an
elf character.
I don't hate Puck entirely, but it was just at some points it would be like you could tell he wanted to do goofier, sillier stories, and in fact did some other side stories and shit, other side comics because he wanted to do some fun stuff. And so I think his passion for doing Berserk was really cooled by the 2010s, and I think that's kind of the tragedy of it. But at the same time, it's also kind of natural.
Just that he's overworked.
Yeah, you have to have an understanding for when you want to move on, where a lot of manga people, they don't want to move on. They want to make the same thing forever. They want to make their one IP and milk it for literally the rest of their lives, which is fine too.
To me, this is not so much that he was trying to milk it, but just that it really was an epic. And he never got the chance to finish it, primarily because he was overworked. That to me, that's what it was.
This delicious Trisket in the
delicious. I could have
actually. I think brings up a really good point. And I know some people are like, oh, that could be just the translation, but there is something about how, it's not just the translation where the original dialogue of an anime or manga is really cheesy. Other things, you go get that.
Yeah.
And just go turn that off or something. Anyways, Trisket says, I know it's from the early 90s, but today some of the internal monologue from the Golden Age arc writing kind of reads like generic DeviantArt stuff from the zeros and tens, or the aughts, whatever, aughts and noughts. But yeah, that's one thing is that the writing of the story is good, but yeah, sometimes that's always a weakness in comics itself, is as the writer, you want to put writing, which means putting text onto the page. And sometimes you put too much in. The temptation as a writer is always way too much. That's why you see tons and tons of narration captions in American comics, is because the writer has to show that they are writing. And a lot of people see it that way, where if you don't put text physically on the page, then people unironically say that there is no writing at all.
And that's an example of how undervalued the writers is.
Like Marvel, Marvel unironically saw that way, where I forgot his name, but he's like kind of a legendary comic writer. I think he's still alive too, and he wrote an issue of Nick Fury, like where Nick Fury infiltrates a base, and there's no dialogue anywhere in the entire issue. And Marvel didn't want to, and this was like the 60s or something. Marvel basically tried to not pay him for writing, because like there's no words on the pages.
There's no dialogue.
And I know that's kind of a different point entirely. But that's us. We're always jumping points and shit. But the entire
too big picture.
Yeah, the entire purpose of that is that writing is so underappreciated, even I think by writers.
Just even if you want to go bigger picture than that, thinking is underappreciated.
Yes, really, there's that. But yeah, so when it comes to putting the dialogue, like one of my favorite volumes of Berserk is like 16, 17, like right after the eclipse, where in fact my favorite character, I was going to get into this at some point, but
is that the fucking Golden Age Vinland? I don't know what fucking the names are for each piece, but yeah,
Golden Age was before the eclipse, and then after the eclipse is where he's just missing an arm, he's a prisoner, and Farnese or Flonase, my favorite nasal spray medication, as I like to call her, also known as horse fuck bitch,
horse raped.
But she's my favorite character in all of Berserk, and I feel like this story kind of dumped her more interesting aspects after a while too. But when she's introduced, she's like a holy warrior, paladin, true believer kind of bitch, and then she, Guts makes fun of her even though he's a captive, so she's whipping him, and then clearly getting turned on by it, and then later she gets possessed by like probably one of the weakest demon spirits in all of Berserk, that like fucking just completely drives her insane with what a whore she is and wants to be, and then there's other elements later where she's like back home or something, and she's like going knuckle deep into her fucking slime hole, fantasizing about burning people alive and shit.
Because she actually burned like her own fucking mansion.
Well, yeah, and I think
There's all kinds of backstory.
they were burning. Yeah, as a child, like they were burning
material.
heretics. Someone gave her a torch, and she threw it at the heretics, and was like, "Wow, I'm burning people to death. This is great." And
it's like, wow, you could really go somewhere with this.
Yeah, and again, after that, it got just kind of dumped, and I thought that was really disappointing. And I was always thinking, well, maybe
later,
some of that will come back in the future, but
yes.
Clearly not.
Because it's always possible that it could have, but now that those possibilities are gone, unless you're a really great storyteller like us.
Yeah, and I just don't think any of that is going to ever come back. It's not going to come back in any version of Berserk. It was basically already dumped, and she was like, "No, she's just a good guy now." It's like, okay.
And honestly, I forgot. They got off the boat and they get on the fairy island, and they fucking fix Casca because
that's what was just happening, and I thought that was actually kind of interesting.
That's where I left off anyway.
Yeah, and that's basically all that happened since then. I mean, you maybe have missed like one or two extra fucking releases.
Casca gets unraped.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that people were like, "Oh, if she ever gets her memories back, I don't think it's going to be a good thing," and that's how I always felt.
She'll go insane.
But there's a lot of ways that could go, and now it's like, I guess now nowhere, unless there are directions.
Well, I read the fucking arc. I read the stuff that he apparently had done, and it's like, okay, this is good. It's a little pat because I think he's rushing towards the end, but this is better than I would have expected.
Yeah, because they do acknowledge it. Like, she gets her memories back, and it's not like, "Yay, I'm all better now." And it's like,
I'm fixed.
Clearly, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, no, but they fucking go through an arc where it's like, oh, I see where they went with this and where they are going with this. It makes more sense.
But anyways, yeah, Flonase. She was actually a major influence on one of the comics that I wrote that I was trying to get made like fucking 10 years ago or something, and that stalled out. But I still hope and plan to get that one made, because it's basically, if she was kind of the main character,
there's still hope for that. Yeah. Here's for anyone who's a fan of Berserk. We have been inspired properly by Berserk, and there's material that we can mine from that.
From the correct aspects, not just, it's violent, that kind of shit. But there's other, there's comics that we made that
and not fucking Naruto.
Yeah, Naruto, or just the violent, edgy aspects of Berserk. But it's like the actual storytelling, the characters, like
blood pinatas.
Blood pinatas. Tim,
I never
mentions that Schnoz was the best character in Berserk. Schnoz. Doesn't he get ripped apart like fresh bread too, though? Very tragic.
Then he's gone. How can he be the best character if he's not around anymore?
How can you miss him if he doesn't go away? But anyways, yeah, the Flonase is a great example of the stuff I like about Berserk, is these kind of quirky, bizarre, kind of broken characters who, at some point get together for an adventure, and it's kind of a big revenge quest, and it's not and it really didn't look like it was gearing up to be
it's an epic. I mean, they started calling it an epic, and that was like right around the boat arc. It's like the biggest manga epic, and it's like it really is an epic.
It was actually a very earned term, especially at that point.
Yes. Especially because that was like 2004.
Yeah, and the I gotta say, for like, it's clearly a revenge quest without being like, but revenge is actually wrong. It's like, no, I think in this case it could be justified. But there's weird aspects of it. It seemed to be going weird places where the entire world was seeing Griffith, the fucking rapist demon god, chaos god, the newest chaos god,
Femto God Hand.
Yeah, that whole aspect. the world was seeing him as like a great leader and savior and peaceful
Yeah,
man.
that was one of the things. That was one of the other things that was introduced late that I really loved, is that he actually got the kingdom he wanted, and it was a great kingdom, great peaceful. It was like
it's one of the best, believe me.
It was secure from a lot of the fucking evils and dangers of the demons that had invaded the world. And it's like,
but
where is this going? This is going to be fucking amazing.
They had their own weird ass monster demons on their side, but they like came across as nice. And it's like, is this part of like the false narrative that Griffiths wants to sell to the world, you know, that kind of goofy ass shit. And I thought that would be that's an interesting aspect. So, you know, as much as I can say that his passion for the comic may have faded, the storytelling, there was still clearly an aspect of really good storytelling ensuing.
Maybe these demons have been turned to his making.
Yeah, there's a lot of
do his bidding. And it's like, oh man, you can go so many places, because fucking Guts already had to destroy, like, it was basically like a version of the fucking Femto God Hand.
Yeah, there's like other
right after that, right after the eclipse, he had to destroy like essentially these holy warriors. It's like, oh, is he going to have to fucking? But they're so much more powerful. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go after this? It will be amazing. And now it's like, I don't know.
Like, oh, I guess nowhere. I guess
I have no idea. Are they going to fucking? How do you continue this without the main creator? You can't really do it without getting another genius.
I don't want to say that's the biggest tragedy of all this, because the guy died. I'm going to be like, oh no, but his comic book will never.
The
biggest tragedy should be nobody else. Died, but
is there nobody else that can take this over? And in my opinion, looking over the course of all these years, I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's that many people who are that brilliant. And I don't want to even just say that about some guy who's like, here's a fucking goofy thing. Here's the fucking Army of Darkness ripoff that I made. That's a ripoff of Army of Darkness.
Is like, am I going to get sued for giving this guy a metal arm?
That's the greatest thing, is that he made all of this beautiful, wonderful work, and his own desire was, oh no, are people going to think I'm ripping off Ash Williams from Army of Darkness?
Which, if he did, like, I know he didn't, but even if he did, I would be like, oh, that's cool.
Well, I mean, awesome even if he did, it's like, great idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a good idea to rip off if you want to do like a 30-year story arc.
Imagine being concerned that you ripped off one of the most great underrated fucking
one of the most delightful
or just
enjoyable, just one of the most enjoyable story arcs.
I unironically like Army of Darkness more than any of the Evil Dead movies.
Yes, I have to say that too. We're gonna
like comedy more than horror.
I'm coming down from the mountaintop and I'm proclaiming that Army of Darkness is a better movie than Evil Dead 2.
Shit, you're going there.
I went there. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, Evil Dead 2 does, of course, have many delightful things.
It's a good movie, but Army of Darkness just trumps it.
Army of Darkness is the kind of movie I want to see, basically.
Yes.
That and like Goodfellas and Casino.
If somebody asked me to make a movie based on like a classic horror bullshit movie, it's like, here's what you do. You do time travel, and he goes back to the Middle Ages, and he's got a chainsaw arm and a double-barrel shotgun. Sawed-off double-barrel shotgun.
A sawed-off shotgun with like infinite ammo that he fucking almost
never fucking. If he has to reload it, it's like we reload
it's just for like a cool, stylish shot. That's why he has to reload it.
We decided to do that during a cut because I don't give a fuck.
But the thing is that also, like, in a way, that's an interesting difference, like Army of Darkness versus Berserk. Berserk is very, serious. Army of Darkness is like almost pure camp.
You know what Berserk doesn't have is a part where he raises fucking chainsaw arm or a double barrel, or he builds himself
He has the
a
metal arm with the
RoboCop
cannon
arm.
inside, which is
He
cool.
builds himself a RoboCop arm.
Yeah, it makes RoboCop noises even, which is also
they're fucking attacking the castle near the end of the movie. He just goes, "Oh, mama."
whoa, mama. Yeah, fucking
That's
mommy.
Berserk doesn't have that, so Army of Darkness is still better than Berserk because of that.
To some extent. I mean, the thing is, I like how much of Berserk there is and how much of it is good. So whatever walls or fucking dragging parts there are, there's so much good in it. And it's not like it's not a comic you really need to convince yourself to read. You start looking at it and it's like, oh shit, like it pulls you in. You don't have to pull yourself through it. Whereas a lot of other that was something else about the Akira manga is I was surprised how much I was just breezing through the comic. There's a lot of big panels and pages.
Same here, actually. That's the thing is,
it was an easy read.
Movie. We saw the movie during what was it, the Sci-Fi Channel Saturday
morning anime,
Saturday morning anime, where they play anime movies. That's where I first was discovered the fucking tentacle rape and fucking shit like that.
And Project Echo and that kind of thing too. Fucking Tim also says in the chat, Data spikes some Deadites. That would be cool. That's the crossover I would love to see is RoboCop in Army of Darkness.
It's Thunderdome. This might be fucking Mark. We don't know if it's Tim. It might be Mark.
You know, that's true. That's true.
But the point, Data Spike.
Tim Mark. That's all.
That is honestly, if we're going to go back to RoboCop, that is one of the best improvised weapons in movie and perhaps fucking fiction history.
It's established so perfectly because the first time you see it, it's this big spike comes out of his fist and people recoil. But then
he raises the fucking fist into the frame of the fucking the video, and then a spike shoots out, and it's like, whoa, holy shit, and people recoil, and it's like, whoa, what the fuck was that? And then he shoots it into a computer, and it's like, oh, it's some kind of recording needle, because if you're fucking alive,
it's like basically a USB cable, except better because you can't fucking put it in upside down on accident 3 times.
1987, people were probably very familiar with a fucking recording needle or record players.
Yeah, record players to fucking plug it like
you set down a needle. Like that. You set a needle down onto a record, and
even if you weren't, that right there, it establishes it, and it's established. Yes. So at the end, when he's like cornered by Clarence Boddicker, the spike comes out.
Sayonara, RoboCop.
It's which goes to show the same way that the Japanese would use English words. English would throw in Japanese.
That was the thing. Is when Japan was taking over America, and it's like, oh no. Oh no!
Almost as good. That's one of the best fucking things when he says "Sayonara, RoboCop." But almost as good is in the wonderful classic Con Air, where the guy they were breaking out of prison reveals he had a private plane that was just going to have 2 people, and he's just going to escape and leave them all stranded. So they fucking douse him, and he's not doused in gasoline, but he's in the middle of a broken gas pump.
Oh yeah, and it was
Cyrus the Virus, John Malkovich.
Cyrus the Virus. What a great movie.
Yes. Delightful classic motion picture. Con Air, where the fucking Cyrus the Virus hasn't cornered, so the fucking bad guy who's going to just dump them all is like, sigh, and he goes, Anara, and throws a fucking lit cigarette at the gas. And it explosions, bursts away, and
bursts into flames. It's great.
8 Man After and Project Echo. Yeah, there's some of the
8 Man After,
because I don't even like them that much, but to be able to see them back then, they had great animation.
That was like
fucking tit bounce, and
that was the thing. Is also we were compelled. What was it? Fucking Captain Tita or some shit like that. 8 Man After. But I also remember, what was it? Crying Free Man. That was the one I kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Galgo or Agent Galgo or whatever.
Yeah, you know what? Galgo 13, I do remember reading some comics. I think our older sister had some Galgo 13 comics, and I remember reading them and being like, oh, these are cool. You know, because they're
he's
grim,
so
gritty.
badass, and we were like, whatever, 16 years old or 17 years old.
That's kind of
like,
perfect when you're 16, 15, 16. He put the USB stick backwards into Bodeker's battery.
He turned it around upside down.
Yeah. Fucking, I plugged it in wrong again.
Plugged it in wrong, and his neck shot out his fucking carotid artery. Was it the carotid or was it the fucking aorta or
the carotid artery? Yeah, but
there's the carotid and there's the fucking jugular.
Oh yeah, the jugular vein.
It depends on which side of the neck.
Well, the thing is that because I think it goes up both. There's carotid and jugular on both sides. I think.
I have no idea.
Is the artery pushes blood out from the heart, so that's the part that squirts. The vein is the part that sort of drains back towards the heart to get oxygen, fresh oxygen.
I mean, either way, you're dead. If somebody pierces that, you're dead.
Well, certainly if you're out in the fucking just shitty construction.
If RoboCop stabs you in the neck with a fucking recording, a gigantic, it's like the length of his own arm.
I think wasn't it the TV show and/or comics where it's like Clarence Bodeker actually lived from that. It's like,
what? No. Well, that's one of the strengths of a movie where you can have him die.
The continuity, that's the only thing that.
Or what was it? Whoever wrote this?
It's one of the tragic things about American comics. It's so full of spin-offs where it's like, we're going to just take something from the movie and fucking retcon it. And it's like, okay, now you're ruining the whole fucking thing.
The script for RoboCop 2,
by Frank Miller.
Yeah, Frank Miller. He wrote the script for RoboCop 2.
So well, he did a script for there, but they changed a lot, I'm sure.
Clarence Bodeker really is. How many fucking villains do you see in a movie who's like balding? It's like
that's another thing. I was like, okay, I know we're talking about Berserk, but one of the things I love so much about fucking RoboCop is like he has Clarence Bodeker, the main villain or the biggest villain, anyways. Maybe not in scale, but he's the baddest bad guy in the fucking movie. He has all these aspects of him that are like the least. He's wearing glasses. He's bald. He's not necessarily tall. He's not really tough. He's just
he's not muscular or anything.
Ruthless, violent, and sadistic. And
he is what a villain should be.
Yeah, but the thing is that like they intentionally went with bald and glasses to almost dare you to not find him threatening. But then he's so great. Kurtwood Smith fucking good in that.
They get the actor. That's another thing that fucking RoboCop in general does is it gets the perfect actors. Like fucking who's the guy from fucking Top Gun, Aces High, fucking whatever
from fucking from Punky Brewster, the dad from Punky Brewster is the head of OCP. But
the dad from that 70s show. No, it was fucking whatever it was.
Dick Jones, and there's fucking
it was Top Gun, or not Top Gun, but not Aces High.
You mean the Aces High with Sam Rothstein?
No, it was fucking whatever the parody.
Oh, you mean Hot Shots?
Hot Shots Part 2.
Oh, Miguel Ferrara. Yeah,
Miguel Ferrara.
He's a fucking yuppie scum.
He's kind of the hero and the anti-hero.
They killed him and were surprised. And the people who made the movie were surprised that audiences found him sympathetic.
Yeah, they were surprised.
People would love seeing him get killed.
They were so surprised that he was likable, and they couldn't think. It's like, what?
Yeah, but you know what? The whole
bitches like that's the scene where it's fucking Clarence Bodeker kills him.
Yeah, it's first of all he's kind of pathetic because he's sleazy up to that point where he's like snorting coke off of whores and that kind of stuff.
One of the most memorable lines from the whole movie is "You're going to be a bad motherfucker" after he arm wrestles with a robot arm.
Yeah, he's kind of fun. Again, great casting because he's fun in the movie. But when he's killed, you kind of feel bad for him because he's not supposed to be a good guy. He's supposed to be like corporate exploiter. Like he introduced the RoboCop thing because he wanted to get one over on Dick Jones.
Yeah, that's
it. Hey, I'm fucking cool.
He's kind of slimy.
Yeah, he is. But it's again, that's the writing aspect. That's one of the things that Berserk does well too. Is that those
Yes.
character dynamics and aspects where the
Even
joke.
unlikable characters. That's actually
Yeah,
the thing is
yeah.
Griffith, and
Well, that's
I
what kind
don't
of the
remember
joke
who the
now
other
is,
guy
right?
is.
Well, the joke for a while was Griffith did nothing wrong, and it's
Yeah.
like because
For a long time
he did something wrong.
before any of this, for years, it's
Yeah.
Griffith did nothing wrong. But I forget who one of the other Band of the Hawk characters who is kind of like goofy looking, and
Oh,
it's
that
like,
was not the
but he's
schnoz guy.
still
The guy with the big nose.
yes,
There was the giant dude too,
the
who was
pulled
sort of like
face, but they're
lovable,
still
lovable
likable.
moments.
They don't have to be pretty or fucking
Yeah,
good looking, traditionally good looking, but they're still likable. And it's like, oh, they got killed. Clearly, we need
horrifically killed
revenge.
in like in such a traumatic way, as if the fucking story is trying to be like, ha ha, for fucking getting invested in these characters
But
almost.
even then, we still need revenge for them because, like,
Mhm.
oh, that was wrong.
I mean, it's not. Here's the thing: is that if the story did that, where the story was like, "Oh, you cared about these characters, we're killing them now," that would be annoying, actually. But the thing is, the point of that really was to show how a lot of it was to show sort of the hopelessness of the situation that like even Guts and Casca almost shouldn't have even survived that and almost didn't, but everyone else doesn't. And it shows that there's this whole other world of demons under the surface of all of this, where the femto god hand fucking chaos gods come out just to enjoy their sadism. And it's again, it's like very metaphorical of abuse that's consistent throughout the entire story, all the way. Yeah, very Cenobite in a way. Yeah, you could see there was a very blatant inspiration from Hellraiser, in a good way though. And that's such another interesting thing though, is that, and that's why it's so traumatic. The whole eclipse thing is it's so beyond hopeless, and that is the point, is that there is no hope, but then these people survive. And that was considered the setup to, like, after that, after they survive something, two people survive something that they shouldn't have. um that's where it actually gets back to where, volume one, where the story began, where he has the metal arm and stuff. And it's like, shit, that was all the backstory. That backstory was way more interesting than the front story that they were going with. Um, and then again, it continues on, and you can see that it wasn't just his art that improved, but the writing. And I always have a lot more respect for that, for the writing, being willing to go in all sorts of places that other people wouldn't. Um, Oh, fucking Berserk is apparently uplifting. I can see that. Yeah, it does have aspects of it, and again, it's about um, it's as much as it's about the violence and entertainment and fucking satisfying the id. It's also about this sort of relentless striving and going for, like even in the face of Armageddon and all that stuff. Um, so yeah, I that's one of the things that's is tragic. Not to say that, oh, it's tragic that the comic won't continue. It's objectively more tragic that the guy died, but clearly there's a lot of aspects to it, and that's why not just like, make sure you get help, call the suicide hotline, whatever. Because I called the suicide hotline, they told me to do it. But Berserk, yeah, great comic, and I would still recommend it. Even if it never concludes, I would still recommend it just for all the stuff that's good in it. And if you want to support people who are also good, just as good as the writing of Berserk, you can support us if fucking all sorts of shit. The subscribe star link goes to our just to our goofy ass YouTube videos though, where we talk about comics and we talk about sort of the inner workings of comics in much the same way. So if you want to support us and or see a bunch of hidden super secret videos, At the same time, if you want to see some of our delightful comics, just go on Webtoon, check out Literally or Villains of the Snow Sea. Those are mine. And King Wolf Comics on Patreon if you want to see our you'll see those, but that's also to help fund some of the other comics I'm trying to get made, which I can't. I'm not going to say they're all inspired by Berserk because that's not really relevant. I just want to say that we sort of want to do our memorial for Berserk and Miura, and talk about why I like the comic, why the comic it means so much to me, and that kind of shit. And so yeah, if you can find it. And one other thing I want to say before we wrap up. Is that I read the entire thing off of a website illegally for free. And it was so good. I was like, if I find issues of this, and I found there's volumes of it at my comic store, and I buy them sometimes. I have two.
Can't afford every single one of them.
Yeah,
I do. I mean, it's an institution. I mean, you gotta respect it.
Berserk is a great slice of life, man. In a way, it is. There's aspects of it, especially the Golden Age. That's kind of why it's called the Golden Age. It's slice of life, but about like a mercenary band of warriors. But that's
the first quarter.
The characters are so good that you can.
It's one of the strengths.
Spending time with them is good and entertaining and fun.
The first quarter of it is the Band of the Hawk.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so strong.
It's pretty slice of life, and it's interesting. It's good stuff, but it has good, interesting things. It's not just them sitting.
If there's one thing I want to make sure to sell to everyone is that it's the strength of good writing.
Yeah.
You don't get that from something that's just an artist.
And character development, like the part where Guts and Griffith have their first duel, where they're still friends technically. Guts wins, but I think he still quits the Band of the Hawk. And Griffith is like almost like in love with like his independent spirit, and there's all these aspects, and that's all these kinds of things that are happening every day in the Golden Age arc, and
it's something that's admirable for us in the modern era.
Yeah,
as an American, knowing something about Phoenix Wright, that's actually one of the other things. I don't know if we can compare it to Phoenix Wright,
but perhaps
the story of that is like a man defending an innocent person against the Japanese fucking legal system. Yeah, it's something you would never expect to see, and that's the way it's delivered in the story.
Mm-hmm. Also, Autist Whisper says one because Kentaro inspired by the manga equivalent to Romance Slice of Life. I know he's a fan of those. In fact, I think he did a story.
I mean, that's the thing is like if you go back to some of the traditional storytelling elements, there's I don't know.
There's always something that drives. There's always an event that keeps driving the story along. It's not just the typical slow burn slice of life where it's like they're sitting around a coffee shop and they talk. It's something's always happening next. Something happens next and next and next.
Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's a great example of that.
Yes, where something always advances the story in every episode or chapter or issue or whatever, and that's a great understanding, and it's hard to have perfect control of that, but that's one of the things I wish people would be inspired more by Berserk, is not just the violence and the art and that kind of stuff, but the way it told a story so well, advancing it. Even when sometimes it was telling parts of a story that weren't necessary to the overall, it could still just be entertaining and fun and graphic and violent. And oh no, there's a monster's ripping Casca's clothes off. It's like, oh no, but then she's okay. You almost get to see her asshole. All right, what a great comic. But again, it's about the way that the story always continues. So many other people, I've seen so many people who claim to be inspired by Berserk, and then when they write stories, it's a complete flat line where the story goes nowhere. It doesn't advance. Like they'll have 80 pages to tell a story, or even 40, whatever it is, even 10 or 20, you should be able to advance a story. And so many of these people just don't. And they're like, oh, I'm so inspired by it. But you'll see, like, fucking Xenotype is a great example of Liam Gray acts like, oh, he's inspired by this. But then he tells an 80-page story that advances no plot at all. It has no story. It has no advancement. It has no plot twist. It has no character moments. It has no character depth. It just has a series of visuals, and that's it. And people just take all of the wrong influences. Anyways, yeah. So that's mostly what I wanted to get into and talk about with the video today. So, unlike reshare, don't comment, unsubscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe, unhit the rebell for non-notifications. I don't even know how that works. Actually, one thing I know about hitting the bell is if you actually want to keep up with our goofy ass videos that we release in public, because we're not meant to do a lot of public videos. We have been for the past few days, but another video actually just went up today on our Subscribe Star. Again, it's Subscribe Star exclusive. So you have to become an official pig to see those videos, and we have a few. We don't need a lot, but all it takes is a few. And thanks to our Subscribe Star backers and supporters, and also our Patreon backers, which are for our comics specifically. Our Subscribe Star has videos going up every 5 days now. A new exclusive video of us talking about stuff like this every 5 days, all the way into September now so far, and we plan to keep doing more. So if you want to support us for these videos or the secret videos or the whatever, go give us money. Give us fucking money, you motherfuckers. And remember to I don't know, hit the bell, or should you hit the bell or subscribe, or both? And remember, should have listened to Shitty Web Comics.